Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I'm your host, Denise, and before I get into my review this week, I've got to tell you who my favorite actor is. My favorite actor this week is Abigail Breslin from the movie Little Miss Sunshine. That movie was considered a sleeper, but a huge Academy Award nominated film. The entire cast was terrific, but Abigail played the part of this little girl who had the opportunity to participate in the Little Miss Sunshine beauty pageant. And Abigail played that part to the hilt. In her role, she was not your traditional beauty pageant contestant on the, scale of young children. She was not dolled up. She did not wear the makeup. She didn't have the cute, expensive, glittery outfits. She came to that contest as she was, a little girl from an average family whose routine at the end had me hollering and screaming in the theater. Her grandfather, played by Alan Arkin, helped put her routine together. And her routine to Rick James's Super Freak was one of the best performances from a child actor I have ever seen. So Abigail Breslin is my favorite actor this week. All right, folks, I'm going to jump into my review. And my review comes from Netflix. The name of the film is Eleanor the Great, and it is a film that was produced and directed by one of my other favorite actors, Scarlett Johansson. Now, this movie came out in 2025, probably mid to late 2025, and it was on my radar briefly, but so many other films, went ahead of that movie, and it kind of pushed it down on the totem pole for me. But once I saw that it was available on Netflix, I said, hey, I've got to check this out. This movie is about a witty, very likable Eleanor Morgenstein. She's 94 years old, and she takes a tale, if you will, and that tale starts small and innocent, but it becomes bigger and bigger. And the more people who are involved in this tale really, really are impacted in different ways. And so this movie starts with our main character and her best friend. They live together, and they've been living together for quite some time because both are widows at this point. And they are the best of friends. They do everything together. They've got a schedule, a daily routine that they follow, and they're quite interesting and fun to watch in their companionship. Well, at some point, Eleanor's best friend passes away. And so she is now forced to live with her daughter and grandson for a time. Now, mind you, she is cognitively astute, so she doesn't require any special care. However, her daughter is concerned that now that this best friend that she spent so much time with is now gone, she may need the companionship of other people And so the daughter invites her to her home and says, "You're going to stay with me for a little bit until I find a suitable place for you." And so the daughter goes about enrolling her mother in adult it's like adult daycare. And adult daycare is like elderly or senior citizens go to a particular place, like a rec center, if you will, where they can take classes and just socialize and be active with other people. Well, Eleanor does this kind of reluctantly, but she does it. And it took me a minute to realize what was happening once she went to the rec center and she peeks in on a class and she's not happy about it. But it didn't dawn on me that that is the class that she should have been in. And she just says, "You know what? I don't even like what I'm seeing from the door. I'm just going to either go back home or do something else." Well, she finds herself, she meets a woman there, a woman about her age, and the woman invites her to her class. Well, she goes in and she sees that people are sitting in a circle. So she's, a little concerned, not sure what's going on, but she agrees to stay. And in that class are Holocaust survivors. And so they are basically sitting in the round, kind of like you would at like a AA meeting, and they're just telling their stories and talking their feelings out with the instructor or the teacher of that class. And also in this class is a young college student who is a journalism major, and she is there as an observer to listen and just take notes for her college class. So you fast forward and people are recounting their experiences with the Holocaust, and Eleanor jumps in and starts telling her story. And so the young lady, the young college student, is so intrigued with Eleanor's particular story that she befriends her in a way that becomes very, very close. And so the more time that Eleanor and this young lady spend time together, and she's played by Erin Kellyman, and her name is Nina. So the more that they spend time together, they build a friendship. And so Nina is now in on this tale that Eleanor is telling. And so much so that Nina wants to invite her to her class to tell her tale to her classmates and her instructor. And of course, Eleanor's like, "Well, wait a minute, who's going to see this? You didn't tell me I would be on camera." And, Nina just assures her that, it's just us. It's just us here. And we're just so interested in your story. It's so fascinating, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, Eleanor is preparing for her bat mitzvah, of which she never had because she converted to Judaism. She converted as an adult. And so she is prepping for that as well. And so as the movie progresses and the tale gets bigger and bigger, it isn't a lie, but the way that it is told is not in a sincere fashion. And so once all of the hits the fan, all of the people who have been impacted by this tale that Eleanor so eloquently has told for weeks and weeks and weeks has now caused a great deal of pain to everyone involved. And so I won't tell you what the tale is, but it was believable because in her mind, I'm telling a tale that is true. And she never thought that she would be found out. But once she did, now the healing process has to begin with everyone who was impacted. So in this movie, you've got friendships, you've got grief, you've got sadness, you have trust, and you have vulnerability, all wrapped into one. This movie is just over 90 minutes, but there were times when I laughed out loud because, like I said, Eleanor was quite witty. And then the people that she interacted with, gave me chuckles too. But you might want to have a box of tissue close by because it will tug at you at the climactic part of this film. So that is my review this week, Eleanor the Great on Netflix. All right, folks, I'm going to jump into my Nailed It. And my Nailed It for this week is what I call the staff meeting from the movie The Green Mile, where Tom Hanks's character and his fellow co-workers get together at his house. His wife makes a great meal for them, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, got biscuits, everything. But in this lunch date, if you will, and I call it a staff meeting because there are things there's an agenda. And this is where Tom Hanks's character tells his co-workers what John Coffey did to relieve him of his bladder infection. And he recounts the fact that he saved Mr. Jangles. And so he believes that John Coffey can save Melinda, the superintendent's wife, of her terminal illness. And so he has figured out how we're going to do this, what time of day we're going to do this, how we have to do this in a way that the other inmates in the jail don't know what's going on. We got to get rid of Percy Wetmore and his, trifling ass, if you will. And so he took into account, and what I thought was really, really good, is he took into account each co-worker's personal situation. Do you have kids? Are you married? How is this going to impact you? And he took all that into consideration, and they all thought, okay, we'll do this. And when they agreed, it turned out to be a beautiful plan. So that is my Nailed It for this week. I call it the staff meeting from the movie The Green Mile. All right, folks, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And remember, I am available on BlueSky at HYSI. All right, moviegoers, you know what to do. Until next week, I need you to see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. Until next week, bye-bye.